Hey guys, thank you all for joining. We should be starting in a few minutes. We'll give about another minute or two. Okay, so we'll get started. Thanks to all that have joined. I see some people are still joining as we speak, but we'll just start now to stay prompt. So this is our fourth webinar that we're hosting. We're very excited to host Liora Shechter from the city of Tel Aviv and Heather Rosscheck from the city of Akron, where I'm actually at right now, who will be speaking about their perspectives and how they've been handling COVID-19 in their city. It was very important for us to kind of showcase women leaders in government and really get people from different cities to also get to know, their perspective of what's going on. We've been getting a lot of questions from different cities and a lot of desire to really know more about what other cities that have been taking action are doing. So we thought this could be a great opportunity for two awesome leaders to discuss. So just kind of ground rules, we'll start with presentations initially from Liora, then Heather, and then our team will speak a little bit. And then we'll open up the forum at the end for Q&A for everyone. So we're very excited, and obviously feel free to share questions in the chat screen in the meantime so we can address later on. So again, without further ado, thanks to all, and Liora, it's all yours.
Hi. I'm very excited to be with you. I'd like to share with you a short presentation about the concept of smart city in Tel Aviv, what happened in COVID-19, and what are ideas for the next few months. So I think a very unique project and idea that we did in Tel Aviv is really, we created a resident club. And the idea is that as a municipality, we treat each one of our residents differently. And each one of our residents get personalized service from Tel Aviv municipality. Not only personalized, but proactive. The municipality is really reaching each one of the residents in the areas that are important to him. So in order for the service to be personalized, we have to know a little bit about each one of the residents, his interests, his hobbies, how old is he married, does he have children, and so on. And after having a little bit of the data about each one of the residents, we are able to give him personalized information. And as Tel Aviv is really a non-stop city, we create a lot of events, small one, big events, and then we are able to fit to each one of the residents the relevant event that the municipality is creating for him and his community. And of course, a lot of all our e-services are offered proactively by the municipality according to each one of the residents' characteristics. And I will demonstrate just a little bit. So let's say that you are a parent and you have a small child, and we have an activity for kids in the near community center. Then we proactively send the residents a text message and invite them to come to the event in the community center. So from the perspective of the residents, the municipality is giving each one of them personalized service. Another example is we did a last minute offering. We did joint venture with all the theaters in the city. And if one of the show is not full, we collect the tickets. And if you specified in the interest that you like theater, then we proactively offer you to come to the show tonight, and with the biggest discount that we have in the city. So it's 50% discount. So from the perspective of the municipality is really bringing value to each one of the residents. Events, we organize a lot of small events like yoga just on the rooftop of the municipality. It's free, of course, for the relevant persons. We have specific app to rent parasols and chairs in our beautiful beaches. And that's the concept of digital, our residents club, which right now we have about 70% of the city residents engaged in our residents club. So we have really a strong, valuable tool that we can communicate directly to each one of the residents. And we did even more than that. We created sub-communities in digital. For instance, parents to very small children, that they have a very specific needs because they are usually at home. They're a little bit afraid. They do not know what to do with the new child. So what we are doing is really creating a lot of workshop, especially to teach the parents how to behave. And again, we create a lot of fun events that the parents and children can go exit the house and have some fun together. So we had the concept of digital, and it's alive about 5 years, but then COVID-19 happened, and you cannot do any workshops, you cannot do any events, and so on. So the first thing that the municipality did is really move each one of the events to an online platform. So we continue to do all of the events that we regularly did in digital, but online. But then another effect of COVID-19 is really the businesses that were closed in Israel about 1.5 months. And right now they are still suffering from loss of traffic and income. So the municipality really understood that they had to do something to help the businesses. So what we are really promoting right now, we took the concept of digital and we are transforming it to a business club. Like we had for the residents club, now we are going to build a business club. And in Tel Aviv, there's about 20,000 relevant businesses that can really offer value for the residents. And the idea is that we have in one hand all the community of our residents, 70% of the city residents. On the other hand, in 2 months, we are going to issue the business community of the city. And then we needed something to combine the needs of the both population, how we can help residents by local businesses in the city. And in that place, what we design is really to have our city coin, which can really encourage specific kinds of businesses that we as a city really want to encourage to help due to the COVID-19. So that is the concept that we are going to issue right now. It's not the first time that we use a digital coin. We did a few initiatives around helping businesses in specific areas in the city. And after being convinced that the tool is really helpful and we can use it to encourage the consumption in our businesses, we are now going to make it the city platform, really take the coin and make it a platform that will combine the residents club and the businesses club. I can show you one last thing to finalize. This is the dashboard of the coronavirus that we created in Tel Aviv. Sorry that it's in Hebrew, but I'm going to explain it. The first thing is to see the situation right now in Tel Aviv. The red line is really the new confirmed people that are sick. You can see that we are really starting to be in the second wave of the coronavirus. It's been going for the last 10 days or something like that, and the green line is really the people that have recovered from COVID-19 in the city of Tel Aviv. Another thing that we issue and we developed as the IT division is really the purple flag for businesses. Businesses that comply with the regulation of COVID-19. You can see how many businesses have complied and reported that they comply with our purple flag. And you can see all of the businesses. You can again see it on the map and be familiar with all the businesses that really comply with COVID-19. So I think that will conclude my presentation.
Great, thank you, Liora. Very interesting. And next, Heather, please, the floor is yours.
Absolutely, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen here. There we go. All right, am I up and running?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So hello, everyone. My name is Heather Roszczyk. I'm the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Advocate for the city of Akron. If it's okay, I want to take just a couple minutes to just kind of give some context, because I imagine not everyone is familiar with Akron. We are a mid-sized city located in the state of Ohio here in the US, so just below the Great Lakes in the Midwest region, and just a little bit south of our larger sister city of Cleveland, Ohio. Akron is part of what has been known as the Rust Belt. So we saw a huge boom from the late 1800s to late 1900s. In fact, I believe it was in 1910 or in the 10s, Akron was actually the fastest growing city in the US as a result of the rubber industry. So the major tire manufacturers in the US were located here. And hence our nickname, the Rubber City. And then like so much of the Rust Belt, we also experienced a major period of decline beginning in about 1970 and lost about 100,000 in population over the next several decades. So we've been in this period of, kind of rebuilding and reinventing ourselves. We are now today truly a mid-sized city. We come in just under 200,000 in population. And are, as I said, kind of reimagining ourselves not only as the home of LeBron James, but also as a city with a truly vibrant arts and culture sector with beautiful outdoor settings. We have a national park that sits just adjacent to our downtown. A vibrant array of cultures. Akron has a legacy of immigration, and that is no less true today. We actually have welcomed the second largest resettled population of Bhutanese refugees in the US, who contribute so much to our city, not only culturally, but also economically. And in fact, we owe most, if not all, of our population growth over the past several years to these new Americans. And then we also have a very rich and active entrepreneurship sector, and that is both in tech entrepreneurship as well as non-tech entrepreneurship. And I think, talking about that kind of reimagination and rebirth, my favorite illustration of that is that Bounce, which is our open innovation hub, is actually located in an old BF Goodrich tire factory. So, Akron has really seen just a tremendous amount of progress in the last decade or so in terms of placemaking and downtown and neighborhood redevelopment. And you were really feeling it, right? We were feeling this vibrancy, so much positive energy in the city. And then 2020 happened, and COVID-19. And, like every other city, we saw mass closures of businesses due to the very necessary stay-home orders to curb the pandemic. But as a city government official, it's absolutely heartbreaking, right? Just something is necessary doesn't mean that it's not heart-wrenching. And like every other city government, we were feeling tremendous pressure to do something. These are our friends and neighbors who are business owners. So we're concerned about them personally, but also very concerned about the city economy. And so enter this startup, Colu. Colu first came on our radar from a couple of different places, but primarily through some connections through national city government organizations. And ultimately, we ended up deciding to partner with Colu to create an app called Acronite. And the app rewards users for shopping locally with cashback incentives that can be redeemed participating merchants. And so it's helping Acronites in a couple of ways. One, it is driving traffic to these locally owned businesses. So it's helping, spur the local economy and help out those local business owners. But it's also through those incentives and through those cashback rewards is putting more money in the pockets of Akron residents at a time when they really desperately need it. And there were several things that I would say drew us to partner with Colu. One of the most critical was that they were already at market. So when we first started talking with Colu, this was at the very beginning of the stay home order, when there was, panic sounds like possibly an exaggeration, but I mean, there really was, I think as everyone knows, just a huge amount of concern. And we were feeling deep, deep pressure to really do something to help as many businesses as we possibly could, as quickly as we possibly could. So we wanted to partner with someone who could move at warp speed. And indeed, I think it was 2 months from our first conversation until we moved into the beta launch. So we are feeling very good about the ability to help, hopefully hundreds of businesses in a very, very short period of time. We were also pleased that Colu had experience dealing with situations that are familiar to us, and that our main street through downtown Akron has been under major construction for quite some time now. Where the road is completely torn up, closed to vehicular traffic. And those businesses that are located on that main street there have really been suffering as a result of that. So when the pandemic hit, it was like a double whammy for these businesses. And Colu, I imagine they might talk about it later, but had experience with a similar situation in Tel Aviv, where they were able to make a really, really impressive difference for those businesses. And then the final thing I think that was important to us was the ability to influence consumer behavior. And I don't know if anyone watching, there was an article that the New York Times published just a few days ago showing data from UC Santa Cruz that 17% of white business owners are out of work right now, but that number for Black business owners is 40%. So we know that our Black-owned businesses are getting disproportionately hit by the pandemic. And we really, from the beginning of talks in building this app, made it clear that we wanted to try and address that. And so we were able to build in the ability to do that through extra incentives for shopping at Black-owned businesses, and also through storytelling, making sure that we're telling the stories of those business owners and really highlighting their success. So we're in the middle of the beta launch right now. The response from business owners has really overall been quite positive, and we're excited to roll that out on a larger scale soon. And I will say these types of public-private partnerships are not new to us. In 2018, we partnered with eBay. We were chosen as the first city in the US for their retail revival program. And this was a program similarly that had launched overseas in the UK. And we were chosen as the first US city to host it. And the goal of the program was to help small businesses expand their online footprint. So it was essentially like a year-long digital boot camp for these small mom and pop shops. In that year, they participating businesses sold to 15,000 customers through the eBay platform in 50 states in the US and nearly 80 countries. As you can see there, 10% of the total revenue was from international. And so these are businesses that are, making, bespoke food products and t-shirts and, bike shops, little mom and pop shops that in all likelihood might not have seen those otherwise. There was also a handful of businesses who had already been selling on eBay, and through the expertise and support through that program, those businesses saw an 86% increase in their sales. And I think my favorite part was we had two businesses who had not had a storefront, and as a result of the program and their increase in revenue, we're actually able to open brick and mortars. So we're familiar with this type of public-private partnership, and definitely believe in technology as a key to some of these solutions. The one thing that I will say, and this might be somewhat of an odd approach in a webinar that's focused on tech, and I'm kind of going to open up my here and show you this very, very ugly graphic that I put together, not for anyone else, but for putting my own brain on paper. eBay, when they were kind of looking around and deciding which city to launch this in, Akron was chosen because we have a very, very robust and well-connected entrepreneurship ecosystem. So, as you can see, and these are really just, I was working on something specifically for non-tech businesses. So these are primarily organizations and programs that deal with non-tech, not even so much touching our tech sector, which is a whole other list of programs and organizations. But we have organizations that are focused on capital and community building and, providing technical assistance resources. And I think that, a lot of times we, especially in government where you're getting pulled in all of these different directions, feel this pressure to come up with a packaged solution. And it's not all the sexy stuff, the apps and the interesting tech has to have a foundation of a strong collaborative ecosystem in order to succeed. And I'll end with one other example of this and another example of something that we're doing in response to COVID-19. So this is kind of a suite of programs that all operate together. Our Great Streets Akron program is, we went through and identified 12 neighborhood business districts throughout the city where we are focusing our incentives and our improvements. So for example, facade grants. Previously, in order to get a facade grant, it was kind of a squeaky wheel gets the grease sort of thing. You asked enough times and then, did your paperwork and then hopefully you got that facade grant. And as a result, those improvements were kind of scattered all over the city. And it was very difficult to see a marked improvement in one area. So now through the Great Streets program, we've identified these different neighborhood business districts and are focusing our improvements on those business districts. So our lighting improvements, our sidewalk improvements, the facade grants, all of those things, you must be in one of these districts to qualify for those. We then launched, after that was up and running, we then launched our Rubber City Match program, which is a cohort-based program. It goes for about 8 months or so, that pairs up business owners who are looking to open a brick and mortar storefront with vacant properties that are in those Great Streets districts. So it's kind of an added layer, again, building on that base. And then as part of the COVID-19 response, one of the things we wanted to focus not just on triage with, helping businesses in the immediate sense, but also really thinking about, once we kind of start to heal ourselves, how do we help business owners who had to close? How do we help them start their next venture? How do we help those that were able to survive to expand? And so we're putting together an RFP right now to launch a new app that is going to take all of the kind of white glove services associated with Rubber City Match, where we're really walking the 15 or so businesses that are in that program through the process of how do you get a permit, how do you think through your zoning regulations. We're taking all of that information and putting it in one consolidated place in people's pockets to make it very, very easy to access. But I think that those three programs, had to build upon one another. And below all of that, we're working with our partners throughout the city, whether it's the Urban League or the Small Business Development Center or the Innovation Hub, to provide that technical assistance. So I think if there's one thing that I hope everyone takes away, it's the importance of the entire ecosystem, not just the single solution.
Very good. Thanks, Heather. Very nice and very interesting. Great. If you can unshare, then we can take over. And last but not least, Elad and I'll join a little bit as well. We'll kind of conclude, and then we'll open up the forum. I already see we have a few questions, so we'll leave about 10-15 minutes at the end for some more.
Sounds great. So first, again, we want to thank you for taking the time to join us tonight or today, depends where you are. I actually see guests from many different states of Washington, states of Texas, even from the states of New Mexico, Florida, and so on. So Illinois, of course. It is very, very, keep us very happy to see that so many people join. And, I'm learning a lot. So thank you very much, Liora and Shechter. Michael and I want to share just a bit of our insights. We're talking to 2 to 3 cities a day. So we've kind of the point where we can learn a lot, and we want to share a few of the insights that we've gained lately. But I think that the one question, for us, everything boils down to this one question: how can we encourage residents to shop locally instead of Amazon or instead of any other giant retailers? And Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but as we talk to cities, sometimes we learn that this is a lot about information and awareness, to be aware of your options to shop local and the things that are going on. And I think that the best example for this now during the COVID-19 is this kind of stores, mostly hardware stores, that historically never shipped deliveries and just started to do so as part of developing business methods to deal with the pandemic and its effect. So just like being able to aggregate those and find the right design, the right language in order to really engage with residents and make sure that they know this is something that is really in the heart of everything. And also, I think that besides Tel Aviv, I would say, I think that I never saw an app belongs to a Gov, which is really fun and engagement and super cool. So I think that digital is really like one of a kind in a way. And this is kind of the gap that we in Colu try to bridge. We try to give governments and cities and municipalities the power to connect with residents and make sure that this awareness also converts and become real actions. So obviously the shopping locally is one thing, but as probably a few of you already know, Colu has different use cases that we're dealing, such as mobility, sustainability, even reporting 311, and many others. So now the world is really around economic development. So of course, this is what we want to talk about today. So just a bit about us. We're around since 2014, so it's like 5 years right now. We have almost 250,000 users and merchants, and we're based in Tel Aviv and also in New York City. And Michael is flying around and meeting different cities in the US, currently in Akron, Ohio. And Michael, maybe you want to say a few words, you know, high level about the CARES Act and.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we've been here in the US kind of quite a while dealing with the effects that cities have been dealing with because of COVID-19. And, you know, we've learned a lot and kind of seen things progress over the past 3 or 4 months. And one of the main things we've been seeing really across the board is that cities' biggest pain point, like I mentioned, was how can they help and support small businesses, but also how can they help promote diversity? And like Heather was mentioning, Black-owned businesses and other minority-owned businesses. And, you know, one thing we see now is that with the CARES Act funding coming in, it's often coming in either directly to residents in the form of economic impact payments, unemployment insurance, or directly to the small businesses in the form of grants and loans. And, you know, those are great as one-time payments. Those are great to help businesses and residents kind of survive. But at the end of the day, they don't necessarily encourage consumption at local businesses, and they don't necessarily create a behavioral change that will sustain itself far beyond the incentive on its own. So what we're looking to do is really to see how we can allocate or how we can help cities use some funds that are coming in to not just help the businesses stay alive, but also help businesses get people to shop there and stay sustainable far beyond this incentive on its own, so that the businesses can then get people to shop there instead of shopping on Amazon, instead of shopping at, you know, local chains that are not locally owned. So, you know, it's very important for us to get that incentive going and to get that behavioral change. And then, so, you know, one of the biggest statistics we always hear is the average US resident spends about $50 per month on Amazon. And when you think about it, if we're able to take 15% of purchases made on Amazon and convert them to purchases made at local businesses for a small municipality, we have 90,000 residents, that would mean an additional $18 million of revenue to local businesses in the city. So everyone talks about how do you retain wealth? How do you keep business jobs and businesses open? And a big part of it is seeing how we can change that behavior to get people to shop locally. And obviously the numbers speak for themselves. On top of that, some municipalities also charge, you know, take sales tax. So that's even additional revenue coming into the city. And we know that that's something that has a huge deficit right now. So, you know, we always talk about the behavioral change. We talk about how we can use rewards to encourage behavior. We talk about how the emotional connection with small business owners can help encourage that behavior. But the effects of it are huge. And obviously, you know, this is money that comes in, it's an organic, we're reshifting the pie. It's not just like, you know, looking at, you know, the CARES Act or one-time funds. This is all organic and hopefully will last far beyond the incentives on their own.
And this is, by the way, a true example from the city of Roswell, Georgia. So just like, you know, to give you kind of the notion of how it could contribute to the city. And this is really the app. We'll show you a quick demonstration in just like 2 minutes, but kind of to give you the idea of how it looks. So as I said before, we try to create something fun and engaging. And the fundamental part of the app is what we call the city stories section, which very similar to Instagram, each story reflects something that's going on in the city. So it'd rather be a street or initiative or reward program that represent a specific business segment, but also a few of them really represent something else that's going on in the city, like events or a social campaign. and more. And the idea is that the app is a white label app. It's branded with the city, as Esther said. In Akron, it's called Acronite, and the coins called blimps for the Goodyear blimp. So it makes sense if you're from Akron to earn blimps all around the city. It makes a lot of sense. Maybe for someone from Tel Aviv, it would sound weird in a way, but the whole idea is really to create something that is really branded with the city and has the voice of the city. And we're using many different elements of gamifications and behavioral economics in order to create this ongoing engagement. And this is what you can see here. And this is really dive into the city story section, and you can really get the different initiatives. So here, for example, you can see a 60 seconds YouTube video that tells you everything about the best practices behind social distancing that we actually had on the app during the first 2 weeks of restrictions in Tel Aviv, in order, you know, again, support the city hall to spread all the information, the relevant information for cities. And I think maybe Michael, because you're Akron, you'll be the best person to talk about the behind the counter, which is these stories you see here, the Joe Pizza, that really tells the story of a specific business.
Yeah, so I mean, here from Akron, and Heather also alluded to this, it was very important for us to not only have the incentives be the driver of people shopping locally, but also to understand that there is an emotional component to people shopping at local businesses. And, you know, if people can learn more about the story we call behind the counter, the story behind the business owner, what drove them to start the business, what drove them to really do what they do, people will then think twice before they shop online or before they shop on Amazon or at a chain. And, you know, I can say that from meeting these business owners, and about a week ago we were here and we met with about 40 businesses in 2.5 days. And I would say each business, almost without an exception, the business owner has such a unique story and such an interesting type of, you know, story to tell the world. So we want to make sure that this app also can give them a stage, right? So a big part of it is also showcasing the different businesses, and these are a few, I believe, in some of these are in Akron. And then the other thing is really the stories themselves don't only just showcase the local businesses, but they also showcase local nonprofits. And, you know, I had the pleasure of meeting a few local nonprofits, some are even Black-owned nonprofits. Like one, for example, is Not Only October. And that's one that he's promoting a cause, which is for breast cancer, for and people who shop there, all his profits get donated, or all the money that comes in gets donated to breast cancer research and all that. And, you know, those are people who need a stage, right? And so this app not only just looks at the business owners, but also looks at the ecosystem and different, you know, arts communities, innovation communities, the Black-owned business community, and giving them a stage to also allow people to be aware of what's going on and allow people to know, you know, what are the Black-owned businesses in Akron, right? The app really helps you understand. And then when we talk about Black-owned businesses, it's diversity in general, right? So it could be other minorities that will be promoted, women-owned businesses, LGBTQ businesses, veteran-owned businesses. Those are all things that, you know, are very, very important for us as a company, but we see that are very critical for cities. So this gives an opportunity for that to happen and really to promote the different diverse array of businesses that really make the city what it is.
Thanks, Michael. And you know, maybe just like the one last slide, I want to address one of the things that Liora mentioned earlier, which in my perspective really also showcasing another aspect of the app, and this is the fact that it's really fostering a sense of community. And I think that this is something that we like to see as a special for Tel Aviv, as someone who lived here for the last few years. But I think that in every city, a strong community really contributes something to what we call city, to this ecosystem of the city. And I think that right now, Tel Avivians really care about one each other and really want to see the small businesses making it through and surviving this like very, very hard time. And this is why in Tel Aviv, it's not going to be the first time that a city coin became a tool that really helped the city to support the small businesses. And this slide, this street that you see here, called the Jerusalem Boulevard, although it's in Tel Aviv. It's in the southern part of the city, in a borough called Jaffa. Jaffa is actually a very ancient port city, and Tel Aviv grew up from it. And back in November 2019, as construction works started in this area, there were more than 200 businesses that were cut off traffic. And although it happened because of the federal government of Israel, the city of Tel Aviv decided to do something about it and partnered with Colu to support these small businesses. And what we did as part of this campaign is really tell the story of these small businesses to the users of the app who live in central Tel Aviv and north parts of Tel Aviv. And besides telling the story, we also offered a 30% cashback with the Tel Aviv coin. So the idea was you go there, you shop, let's say $100, and then you get back to your app 30 Tel Aviv coins that you can go later and spend in local businesses all around the city. And you can see the numbers, but I feel like one of the things that were important for the city is to rebuild the trust between the locals and the city of Tel Aviv and the local government. And we saw thousands of residents that came to shop there. But my favorite part is actually not on this slide. It's what happened on the day after we finished this campaign that lasts 45 days. And I'll be honest, I'll say we were really afraid to see what happens because we had no more coins to issue for residents. But we were surprised and happy to see that the residents kept on showing, because the incentivize the coins, as Michael said, it really helped just to create the first emotional connection. And this is what lasts. And this is how we can really see how we create a real behavioral change around a very, very variety behaviors, right? As I said before, from mobility and using of transportation, recycling, healthcare initiatives, and many more. So I feel like this example of construction in the street is something that talks to a lot of different municipalities, and we see it all the time. And here are the results, and this initiative is still going on, and we're collaborating with the city of Tel Aviv, which is our most important partner. And Liora, again, we're very happy for you to be here because you're definitely a partner for our success. And I think that, we're all in government or doing, even if we're in the private sector, like Colu, we're still dealing with a public mission. So I feel like we're very, very fortunate because every day we're able to touch people and create an impact that change the life here in Tel Aviv, in Akron, Ohio, with many different other cities in the US that we're talking to right now. And we're looking forward to continue this. And Michael, maybe you wanna show just the app. I'll let the movie run and you explain what we're seeing.
Yeah, sure. So I know, a lot of times people want to see a demonstration of how the app kind of looks like. And so we definitely wanted to showcase the one that is right now in beta mode here in Akron. And as we speak, we're getting more and more businesses that are joining and participating. So I don't know, Alad, if you want to just bring that up.
Yeah, so it is already running. Let me bring it back. So as you can see, it's called Acronite. You can see the logo over here.
No, we can't see it for some reason.
Oh, really? Hold on. Let me reshare my screen. Okay.
Yep,
Can you see it right now?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
So yeah, it's just running quickly, but the app is kind of driven by stories, and each story really represents a different initiative. So this is kind of the beta initiative. Anytime you shop at a business downtown, you get about 30% cash back. So you spend, let's say, $10 at a local business here in Akron, you will get $3 cash back in the form of blimps, and those blimps can only be used at a local business. Each business has their own page, as you can see. And really, this is kind of the app itself. You see the businesses that are nearby to where you are. So it's really, that's the awareness aspect of it. You can see which businesses, their type, and then the different stories, right? So sorry, it's going very quickly. It's a review, but these are some stories of specific businesses, specific events, specific location, just to give you a sense of how it really looks like. So it's not only just showing the businesses, but also showing the different community events, different types of opportunities for residents to engage, and that civic engagement component is extremely critical as well. So, obviously this is a high level overview, but again, as we kind of expanded, we're really seeing how, I earned actually 19.67 months because I've been shopping at Akron businesses for the past few days, but really how it works. And we've been so far getting great feedback from residents and from businesses, and it's extremely exciting to be here and see it firsthand.
Great. And first of all, again, I want to thank all the participants. We have a few questions, I think.
Yeah, we have a few questions, and obviously I'll leave it open for others. But the first one is from Nissim, who asks, when we talk about local businesses, does it include large businesses such as resorts and casinos here in Las Vegas, or is it limited to smaller retail and local and family-owned businesses? Does anyone want to start? Elad?
Yeah, as we always say, our product is a SaaS platform, so it's really up to the city to decide. So let me take another example, which is not casino in Vegas, because it's like, comparing something really small, something really big. But let's say that in the place where I live on the second floor, there is this guy who is a designer, right? So we don't have a storefront, but still some cities could see it as a local business, or think of like a family law firm. So again, this is really up to the city to decide. And I think that it makes sense to start with the physical businesses, with the storefronts at specific streets or areas. In Akron, we start at the University Park and the downtown area, but really, it's really up for the city.
So as a city, I can answer. We had a lot of discussion around this topic, and we decided that we want to aim for the small and medium businesses in the city. It's not our real goal to help the big chain stores, but the real aim is to the small and medium businesses, especially right now in the era of COVID-19. But still, I think even further in time, it will still be small and medium businesses.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's the same as Liora. That's definitely our focus as well, is the small businesses, specifically, I would say retail and service probably primarily. That said, we don't have any giant casinos in Akron, so makes it an easy decision. But yeah, we are also focusing on the small businesses.
Awesome. So the next question is, I guess it goes to Liora and to you as well, Heather. When implementing Colu's platform onto your respective cities, what was the process like, and how did you move from ideation of partnering with Colu to execution?
I think the first time was really hard. Doing a public-private partnership is not easy in municipalities. And it took us time to find the right way to execute. And it was around the idea of doing a campaign, wanting to encourage specific target that we would anyway spend some money to arrange it. It was about Jerusalem Boulevard, as you mentioned, but I think the first time was the hardest because we had to change the way our senior manager is thinking. But after doing 2 campaigns in Jerusalem Boulevard and seeing the success that it has done, I think the main challenge for us as a city was how to create the contract, how to combine with a private company. So when Colu decided to move to a SaaS platform, that made it easier for us, because in that case, we are really able to have to buy a service. And to buy a service is easy. It's something that the municipality really knows how to do. And to have a coin which is the city coin, and not a private coin from a specific company made it easy for us as a municipality with the old way of thinking to really be able to execute. So I think the shift to the SaaS platform is a very important and smart idea.
And Liora, I think that we in Akron probably benefited from the, kind of the maybe challenging start that you folks had. Because I think for us, honestly, once we decided to partner with Colu, it was as I said, I mean, it was a tremendously quick process, which was absolutely critical for us. Just again, trying to get that response out to assist as many businesses as humanly possible, as quickly as possible. But yeah, it was a very fast and relatively painless process. They had, with them having executed and brought a product, almost identical to market somewhere else already, there just wasn't that much to figure out. The things that we needed to figure out were, which businesses are going to be included, where, what areas of the city are we going to focus on first? How do we connect them with the right storytelling partners locally? But the actual platform-based questions were not an issue. It was quite a smooth process.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'll just open it up now to the forum. Does anyone else have any questions? Feel free to raise your hand to the attendees. Let's see, another 20 seconds. I was usually one first and then everyone else. Okay, well, if not, then we appreciate Heather and Liora for joining. I think this was very awesome and interesting to learn your perspective. If anyone from the participants or offline has any additional questions, you can feel free to reach out to Liora, to Heather, to us. We're happy to explain more and really go more into detail. So thanks again to everyone, and stay safe, and hopefully things will get better quickly.
Thank you all.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night from Israel.